Patriots. Donald Trump's acting ICE director just dropped a nuclear bomb. Since 1960, over 50 million foreign-born immigrants have come to the United States. But in Joe Biden's 4 years, he let in 10 million plus, and 1,900 of which were on the terrorist watch list. Folks, this isn't immigration, this is an invasion. Donald Trump's acting ICE director was on Fox News this morning. Let's hear the latest from him.
Joining me now to continue this conversation is acting ICE director and former ICE field officer and director under Joe Biden, Todd Lyons. Director, thanks for being with us here today. Let's talk first about the last 4 years. Why was this done? What American voted for what happened? 50 million people not born in this country, accelerating who knows how many millions under Joe Biden. How in any way does that reflect the will of the American people?
Well, it's scary because under the last administration, I was the Deputy Assistant Director of the Southwest Border for enforcement removal operations. And, our brothers and sisters at the Border Patrol were just so overwhelmed. And at that time, we had to release so many individuals into the United States. And, that graph that you had up was, I think the most telling thing, right? Over 1,900 encounters of known or suspected terrorists that we know of, right? And when you think about those crazy numbers when it comes to Gotaways and just the sheer volume we saw every day, and you just think of, we don't even know who's in our country right now.
No, Director, I think that our...
Again, I'm going to pause the screen. You need to see this because when you hear from the liberals, their talking point of the immigrants are all grandmothers and children, and they're delicate, and they're just trying to assimilate. We have over 1,900 known terrorists in the country, and we don't know where they are. Over 1.8 million gotaways and 10 plus, almost 11 total migrants. And that's, again, let's be fair to this. If we're going to be factual, that's 10.8 that Mayorkas, who's a liar, told us about. So we know that the 10.8 total number is much higher. But the thing that, again, we need to focus on is the danger of not knowing who's in our country, and specifically 1,900 of which are known terrorists. We're at DEFCON 4, folks.
Children, very possibly and very probably our grandchildren. We'll be looking back at this moment in history, really since 1965, but focusing on the last 4 years and going, why did they want this to happen to America? Meaning the America they will live in, their children are schooled in, it will reflect something vastly different. And I don't know how that's an avoidable future. I know you're trying right now to deport illegal immigrants, but I don't know how you could deport enough to avoid that future and those questions from our grandchildren.
Well, I think the big thing we really need to focus on those worst of the worst, much like that gentleman you were talking about, right? We hope the county honors our detainer. We hope they don't release him again. But this is someone that shouldn't even be walking around our neighborhoods, right? And here we go. We have another senseless, violent act committed in a sanctuary jurisdiction. That doesn't have to happen, right? And people talk about ICE being on the streets and making more arrests. If we just had elected officials in these sanctuary jurisdictions work with us to turn over these criminally legal aliens, our neighborhoods would be so much safer.
And again, this is a critical point. George Soros has stuffed the judiciary in each one of these sanctuary cities so that now when ICE collects them and gets them into detainers, the judges are letting them go free. We've seen that in North Carolina and the repercussions of that. We've seen that in Chicago, New York, LA, etc. ICE cannot arrest fast enough when the judges are letting them out. This is a huge issue and something that, again, is handcuffing our federal officers.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing, Director. I think everybody agrees, apparently outside of a few sanctuary mayors in blue cities across the United States, but most everybody agrees, get out the worst of the worst. I think the real rub is, what do you do? What does Border Patrol do? What does the Trump administration do with the rest of the tens of millions that came to this country illegally, that no one voted on, all of a sudden taking welfare services, education services, and living in the United States?
Well, Will, that's one thing you'll hear a lot of us always say is that President Trump and Secretary Noem have taken the handcuffs off of us now. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to enforce the Immigration Nationality Act. We're not going to turn a blind eye to these collaterals that we encounter while we are going for the worst of the worst. If you're here in the country illegally, President Trump has made it clear from the start. You are going to be removed from the United States. That is our mission. We're bringing on 10,000 new deportation officers, 1,500 new Homeland Security investigation special agents. We are going to go out there. We're going to target these individuals, and we're going to make a significant impact, not only public safety, but we're actually going to enforce Immigration Nationality Act, which Congress codified and have the ability to change it, but they haven't.
Exactly.
And so we're going to enforce the law the way it's written.
So the economic impact of these illegal immigrants in our country is tremendous. Remember, just 2 weeks ago when ICE was in North Carolina, 20+% of the students didn't show up for school. Those weren't American citizens. Those were children of the illegal immigrants who were using our public schools that didn't show up because they were scared of getting deported or having their parents, more specifically, get deported. So the impact that these illegal immigrants are putting on our social services, our public education, our highways, our emergency rooms, our healthcare system is tremendous. And any politician, local or otherwise, that's impeding our ability to put these people in jail, the worst of the worst, or deport them, is quite frankly, according to the acting director and according to our congressional law, they're breaking the law. So if you look at all the blue state mayors that are getting in the way of these laws, they actually have been the beneficiaries of over $3.5 billion in federal grants and subsidies. So what happens if Donald Trump takes those subsidies away? So the Democrats are screaming for compassion and our federal funding, but in that same sentence, they're also protecting criminals. Remember, some of the most vocal politicians, have it be AOC, Bernie, the Squad, Nancy Pelosi, all of these politicians that are against Donald Trump enforcing federal law and pursuing criminal illegal aliens, these are the same people that have huge security details and walls all around their mansions. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We have to keep the border wall closed and deport, deport, deport. So what is Donald Trump doing? He's hired over 10,000 new ICE agents since he got it back into office. He's also deported over 410,000 illegal immigrants to date. Again, they're targeting the worst of the worst. So just those 410,000 illegal immigrants are making our cities safer, our communities safer, and our roads safer. So Joe Biden's legacy is letting over 10 million plus illegal aliens into our country. And what's Donald Trump's legacy? He's taking the streets back, making America safe again, and deporting every one of those people that cross the border illegally. He's taken the handcuffs off of ICE, and we are taking our country back. So if you like this type of content, like this video, leave us a comment down below, and be sure to subscribe to America First Alerts. We'd love nothing more than bringing you conservative news daily right here on YouTube.